Now, besides the negative self-talk, what else makes anxiety worse? Well, there are mental aspects, and you could say negative self-talk is a mental aspect, but we already dealt with that. Then there is a physical, and then there is the environmental aspect. The mental aspect is basically that most of us don't really respect and take care of our minds. We really use it as something, that we just know going to be always there, but we don't necessarily have to especially pay attention to it. It's like a paper towel that just never ends, and you're just going to use it, and you just know somehow it refills itself. And don't get me wrong, the mind is an unbelievably resourceful aspect of ourself. Conscious, subconscious, higher conscious mind, all really, really powerful together. But there are also limits. And so I want to talk about the subconscious for a moment again, because often we are, feeling the conscious mind, the one that we are working with, our rational thinking needs a break after a day of work. And so we just go and veg out, watch TV, skip or hop the channels or browse through the internet, look at social media, swiping up and down and left and right. And we think that's nice because isn't it like letting our mind be in a hammock and relax? And it's unfortunately not at all what it is, because the subconscious is still fully engaged. You may not consciously really take anything in of what you're looking at. I mean, be honest. How quickly are you retaining anything of what you have seen on Instagram or on YouTube today? Probably not very much, because I'm always amazed when I see how little watch time people actually use. After 15 seconds, next. Another 15 seconds, next. Well, consciously, nothing really goes in. But the subconscious, who is a much, much more aware aspect of the mind, still registers everything. See, when you go into a room and you don't know anything what happened in the room, but you feel that there is tension, or you feel that, there's a certain kind of energy, and that is the subconscious. Or you're walking somewhere and you notice that someone looks at you, even though this person is behind you, but you feel it. Maybe your hair is standing up, or, the subliminal messages. Subliminal messages are very powerful, where they had done experiments, having people watch movies and then having these little pictures, let's say, of either some meat dish or a vegetable dish interspersed in the movie so fast that no one really consciously could see it. But afterwards, the people that had seen the meat dishes subconsciously went to the buffet that waited outside. There was meat on it, and ignored the vegetables. And the people that saw vegetables and nice salads ignored the meat and went to the vegetable table. And so the way the subconscious registered and processes information, we still don't really understand and know how it does it, but it does it. So anything that you do when you scroll through screens is taking space in your subconscious mind. It is literally filling up your subconscious mind. Even when you fall asleep in front of the TV, your subconscious mind is still registering the sounds and the images and everything that's going on. And sometimes it may even be incorporated in a dream when you see yourself riding on a horse, and you probably know that you just watched a Western. But the point is just that your subconscious is a source of anxiety. And when you're filling up your subconscious and making it overloaded, that source gets stressed. That source cannot sift fast enough through everything that you throw at it. And instead of finding peace and calmness, it actually gets more on overdrive. And that is when we have bad sleep. That is when we feel like, we cannot focus, when our thoughts are bouncing back and forth. That is also when nightmares can show up, just simply as a way for the subconscious to release the garbage that we have put in. But the point is that we cannot simply ignore the limitations of our mind. We need to step away from the screen, and we need to just simply be comfortable with not having constantly anything blaring at us. It doesn't have to be constantly some voice in the background. Music is okay because music can also be, something very calming and stimulating in a positive way because it's not overloading. It doesn't change all the time. But if you really want to do something well for your mind, give yourself a screen break, especially before you go to bed. Half an hour, 45 minutes before. Also, when you come home from work, just sit for a moment and let everything that has been, working inside of you sink down a little bit like, these little snowflakes in the snow globe. And after 10 minutes, you can actually feel, whew, that was refreshing. Feel so much better. I don't feel like I'm carrying my work or everything that happened with me. Now I can focus on the next part of my day. And it also helps you to feel more yourself. Everything that happens outside of us is pulling ourselves outside of us. So we don't really feel so connected to ourselves. We feel often disconnected from ourselves. And while there is, this notion that anxiety gets stronger the further we are away from ourselves, the more we identify ourselves with something outside of us rather than really noticing and feeling ourselves. If there is so much happening here and you're not really feeling yourself here, of course, something inside of you freaks out. It's like, I always think about it like a child that, sees the parents leaving and the child is left behind, like in Home Alone, and is freaking out because, hey, no one is here to take care of me. So try just to make sure that your subconscious gets time and rest. You can do this through breathing. You can do this simply by a walk in nature. Let your mind simply wander and see and notice the things that are around you. There's also this beautiful technique that really works so well with my horses. It can also work really well with you, where you are simply sitting and you are breathing calmly and you're trying not to move your body for a minute. And any thought that comes up, you just let it bubble away. And you only notice a sound. Maybe there's a little wind, or maybe you have a sense that you can hear your heartbeat. Maybe you feel also, let's say, your clothes on your skin. But if you do this for a minute, it's like this zooming back into the present moment and zooming back into yourself and your immediate environment. It is clarifying, clearing. I mean, it's unbelievable how fast I respond to it when I'm doing it and how fast my animals around me are responding to it because they notice, they feel the energy that you're in. So that's a fabulous way to also really let your anxiety that you may have felt during the day have time to dissipate and disappear. Physically, it's really, really important that you are taking care of your body. And I know there is this big hype about intermittent fasting and all this kind of stuff, which I'm not sure if that's so great, but maybe you believe in it. But for those that don't believe in it, please have breakfast. I mean, I don't know. There is something in ourselves that also has a survival desire, and there is a mechanism inside of us that says if we don't have any food and the blood sugar goes down, alert, what's going on here? I'm starving, I'm dying, help. Well, that can create a lot of anxiety. I mean, I had a client who believes she really healed her anxiety, or at least 75% of the issue, by having a yogurt and a banana in the morning rather than having nothing or just a coffee. Because when she did this, she all of a sudden noticed, wow, my day is so much better. I don't feel freaked out by everything. I'm not feeling so hypersensitive. I'm not anxious. Well, if the blood sugar is stable on a physical level, you don't have that, survival trigger activated. So eat healthy, eat regularly, drink plenty of water, give your cells anything they need to just feel stable and well taken care of. And then also move your body. I mean, it's really fascinating to see how little we move. Most of us have a desk job. Most of us are just, going from the desk then to a couch, and that's that. And that's not healthy for our body. Our body is designed to move. I mean, our ancestors were often nomads or hunters, and they walked for, 30, 40 miles and a day. And it was really, really important to keep on moving. And so there is also this antsiness inside of us when we don't really move or stretch. It doesn't have to be, that you're becoming a gym rat. But I have to say that there have been studies that shown that people that have been dealing with PTSD, and especially women that had been abused or molested or raped, that they feel an enormous positive effect from going into weightlifting or any kind of training that makes their physical body stronger. So there is a direct feedback mechanism that when you have a strong body, it gives that inner sense of safety. That again, this antidote to anxiety being trust requires. So your subconscious looks at you and say, okay, you actually are strong. You can deal with this. You have endurance. Yes, you are vital. I think we're gonna be okay. We don't have to worry so much about being hurt or annihilated. It makes a huge difference. Physical health and well-being, and I also feel like that you can gain a closer relationship with yourself. I just mentioned this being away from yourself or being disconnected from yourself as, a way the anxiety gets triggered. Well, if you are ignoring the physical messages, the help signals of your cells, for example, because you're eating the wrong food, or there's an indigestion, or you feel always like a heartburn, or because you are putting too much caffeine into your system and your heart is actually racing, or you're feeling more and more anxious, which, by the way, is a sign of you definitely are pushing your adrenals. Or if you cannot really rest and sleep well because you do have overeaten at night or taken in too much alcohol. I mean, if you know that your body says, what you're doing is not right, this doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good to only sit, it gives you back pain, or it doesn't feel good to, have too much weight. The knees are really hurting. If your body talks to you, it's not lying to you. Your body has no intention to, manipulate you or not tell you the truth. There's probably nothing inside of us more loyal than our physical body, but we have to pay attention to what it says. And again, if you don't pay attention, your body feels threatened by the choices you're making. And when your body feels threatened, there is also then, as a result, a higher level of anxiety coming up, because you're literally hurting yourself or maybe even killing yourself. So just honor your cells also as something you want to really take care of on your journey to overcoming anxiety, and don't necessarily just, take your mind for granted, and certainly don't take your body for granted. And then also notice that your environment matters, which is something that a lot of people don't understand. They don't know that they cannot really find good rest on a subconscious level in a cluttered room. They may be used to having all the boxes from the move 3 years ago still in that bedroom, or that, all the clothes that haven't been washed yet are scattered around the floor. They may not know that it doesn't matter, or it does matter actually, that they don't have shades and it's so bright from the outside even at night, or they don't necessarily realize that part of their lack of really restful sleep comes from the loud noise that comes from the outside, and they haven't done anything about it. We can adjust to many things, but doesn't mean that our anxiety doesn't feel always a little bit on the edge. So if there's one room you want to really have Zen-like, it's your bedroom. I mean, have your clutter anywhere, which is not good in general. But if you really think about the one area you want to clean up, it is your bedroom. You're spending 8-9 hours in there if you're lucky and if you're healthy in your sleeping habits. And it needs to be a room where your mind and your body can relax, really let go. And since everything has a certain kind of energy to it, and your mind focuses on anything that has an energy, well, your mind is just latching on to everything around you, especially if it's chaotic, and can never completely be at ease. And also, make your environment so that you can rest. So, have a good lighting, have maybe a sound machine that is drowning out the street noise outside. I mean, I lived with Danielle close to 4 hospitals in Seattle. So there was all night sirens, helicopters, and whatever going on. So that was not the most restful night's sleep. So I had to really get used to, earplugs and sound machines, and it did help a lot. I mean, you're kind of getting into your own little cocoon, and it's something that we just need. We need to find that container that gives us a healthy break, a break from, anything that outside of you just feels sometimes too much or too overwhelming. And of course, there is also, when it comes to environment, your relationships, very important. And I'm going to talk about this more in a moment. But if you are surrounding yourself with people that are very negative, or that are just always bringing you down, or if you're surrounding yourself with people that always somehow, in a jovial way, but still make fun of you and make you feel bad about yourself, or if you're surrounding yourself with people that are, having an anger issue and exploding at any moment, all of those things don't feel safe to your subconscious mind. Of course, it's going to bring up anxiety. So don't let those things just slide, address it. You need to be the advocate for yourself. You don't have to lead with saying, well, I'm an anxious person, so please, pay attention to me and stop yelling at me, or stop, making fun of me. No, you have to really stand up for yourself and say, that's not okay with me. This doesn't feel good. It does trigger my anxiety, but it also triggers my sense of self-care. And as a sign of my self-care and my journey to self-empowerment, I just going to have a boundary here and say, stop doing this. It's really, really either time for you to have the conversation and not avoid the conflict, or to also sometimes sever the ties. I mean, when we are changing, we also sometimes change our relationships, weed out those that don't feel good anymore, and draw inside of us those that feel much more healthy and empowering. And that's the same also for work. If you're in a work environment that just feels like, it's soul sucking and just always makes you feel bad, try to, work your way out of it. I mean, if you can change it, great. I talked to a client the other day who had an old boss, and this old boss was absolutely not interested in listening to anything he was suggesting, any improvements. I mean, he did once a 100-page paper on these are the things I think we can do better in our medium-sized company, and the boss just ignored it and moved on. And then he got a new boss who was more his age and seemed to be actually more on the same page. But because of that bad experience, he didn't really revisit what he had found in this 100-page paper before. He didn't present it to him because he thought, well, he's probably not interested as well. Well, try it. I mean, if there is a room for you to make improvements, great. If there is something you can take responsibility for and say, well, I'm taking this job way too serious because I need somehow some approval or some sense of validation, and really that's not what I'm getting, doesn't mean that you immediately have to, quit. You can simply say, okay, I'm going to calmly look for something better, or maybe need to get some more education, but I don't have to take it so personally, because my expectation only leads me to disappointment, and this disappointment only leads me to more anxiety. So there are also adjustments you can make, but my point is, notice what triggers your anxiety in your environment and then respond to it. Don't just let the anxiety be as some normal aspect of your life that you just have to deal with, like, a limp that you are born with. No, there are always things that the anxiety is trying to tell us we should improve or change in order for us to find a greater sense of peace. And we have the ability to do it. Maybe not instantaneously. Maybe we need to also really relearn to be more patient and to be more consistent. But I know that we don't have to get always anxiety re-triggered every day. I know that we have ways to calm the anxiety down and then change our relationship with our mind, our body, and also our environment. That is certainly something that is in our hands. It's our responsibility. And ultimately, that is what leads to a greater and more fulfilling existence. Hi, Dr. Friedemann here. Thank you for tuning into my YouTube channel. If you're interested in learning more about fear and anxiety, here you'll find guided meditations, webinars, and interviews with some of the most renowned experts in the field of empowerment. Delve into the over 230 videos and more to come every week.